Welcome, Sohail Bhai. Welcome, Sohail Bhai.
Namaste, sir.
नमस्ते नमस्ते. You can hear me well? आवाज
Yes,
आ रही है आपको अच्छे से? Excellent,
yes. Am I
excellent,
audible too?
good. Yes, absolutely. Welcome, friends. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We have people joining in. If you can hear me properly, do say yes in the chat box, so I know that I'm audible. Thank you for being here, friends. Good evening, Mahesh. Good evening. I know that you've been seeing a lot of leopards. Thank you, Salil. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Mahendra ji. Thank you, Iqbal, Jinder ji. Fantastic. Excellent. So I'm audible. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you for being here, Sohail Saab, to take us into this journey of butterflies. Um, there's a saying, there's a yogic lore which says that uh, don't, especially when it comes to children, that you can't be too soft on them and you shouldn't be too harsh on them. When they are in a cocoon, they need to emerge, they need to struggle, and they need to break the cocoon to become a butterfly. You try and break the cocoon for them, then yeah, they will not be able to fly. So that's the
True.
example of a great butterfly. This thing. Friends, happy Earth Day, and wish you a very happy Earth Day today. People who are from across the borders or across our oceans, different continents, and people who are here to listen to Sohail. It's our world, it's one Earth, it's one planet. We may have different civilizations, different colors, different languages, different dialects, different ideas, but it's our planet and it's only one planet, right? And that's where the life is. So let's celebrate our day extremely well, be in gratitude to Mother Earth for giving us all the stuff that she's given us, right from these computers to food to children to air to water, earth, everything that we draw today is from this planet. So happy Earth Day. Good. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll get started with the introduction. Let me introduce Sohail Saab first. So, Sohail has been the center manager at Bombay Natural History Society. That's in Delhi for the last 8 years. He has been instrumental in planning and development of the largest butterfly park in North India, situated inside Asola Bhati Wildlife Sanctuary. He has also played a crucial role in advising the Department of Forest and Wildlife, Government of NCT of Delhi, on implementing restoration projects and biodiversity surveys. As a key advocate of seed banks, he operates a native plant nursery and has built over 50 butterfly parks. He has also spearheaded the conceptualization of citizen science monitoring programs, including Big Butterfly Month, Dragonfly Festival, Delhi Moth Week, various bird counts, and winter rapid surveys. And just before we started the webinar, he says that there's a lot of leopard movement in his area. So that's good news. He developed the Green Skill Development Program on behalf of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India. He has implemented the training for frontline forest staff of the Department of Forest, Government of Madhya Pradesh, where while he also oversees the regional education centers at Bharatpur, Indore, and Bhagalpur. He has also supported organizing various bird and butterfly-centric festivals across the nation, as well as conducted biodiversity surveys in Delhi, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh on behalf of BNHS. He was awarded with Dr. B. Kota Lifetime Achievement Award in 2019 for his work on dragonfly conservation and youth development by Indian Dragonfly Society, and is also a member of Delhi Ridge Management Board. So that's a lot of a lot of hard work, noteworthy of appreciation, and that is a person like him who has been through the entire gamut of things with conservation of butterflies. Hats off to him. I'll quickly introduce myself. I am Mohit Agarwal. I'm blessed with 4 children, a son and a daughter, and 2 non-humans. One is a Labrador and one is an escapee African grey. He landed into somebody's office and then finally he came home here with me. He probably has some karmic connection with me. I'm a follower of Shiva, the god of Dharma. Professionally, I'm an experiential ecotourism specialist with a deep love for nature. I help people travel to some wonderful places in Asia. I'm on a board of Asian Ecotourism Network and I've been trained and certified by GSTC in sustainable tourism. I'm the founder of Asian Adventures. We're going to complete 27 years this June. It is the largest bird watching tour company in India. I'm also the founder of Natinator, and it's a value email marketing company. These companies are on a large mission to help Asian elephants with their corridors, free the Himalayas of plastic waste, help small wildlife NGOs, and conserve the ancient Himalayan shrines. So that's a bit about me. So bye, and I'm going to welcome our friends again once. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sohail Saab's webinar on butterflies. Over to you, Sohail Saab. You can start.
Thank you, Mohit sir. It was great listening to your introduction. Actually, mine was just long and boring. Yours was real interesting, and I know you for quite some time. But your introduction told me a few very good things about you. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I'm happy to have so many people interested in butterflies and hoping for a great time.
Because now they're going to see your magic, all the magic that you've done in Delhi. So go right ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So good evening, everybody. It's great to, like I said, it's great to have you guys here. Today, my talk is not going to be about butterflies and it's not going to be about Delhi. The talk is mostly going to be about the work that is happening around butterflies in Delhi by a lot of people, a whole big growing community, which I hope some of you would like to join in. And mostly the purpose of doing this talk is to introduce people to, especially people living in Delhi, to another facet of being outside. And I would love it if after the talk you have a lot of questions, and especially a question like what you can do, because there's so much normal citizens, RWA associations, schools, colleges that can do for butterfly conservation, and it's so very simple that I hope this talk ignites a spark and is start of a very wholesome journey for all of you guys. So let me start off with my presentation, and like I said, after the presentation I'll be open to lots of questions that you might have. So we know Delhi is a big metropolitan, one of the biggest cities in the world. It has a population of 16.3 million is what they say, but close to 20 million. And just to put that in perspective, that is as big as Australia. So we are a unique city, which is covered by Uttar Pradesh and Haryana on its borders. And our climate is not so nice. It's got very harsh winters and extremely hot summers. So very important to understand this about Delhi to even begin to know what we are working with. And in terms of NCR, you can see all these districts all the way from Bharatpur to Karnal and from Bulandshahr to Bhiwani is Delhi NCR. So the butterfly work has primarily been happening in these areas, which I'm going to be talking about today. But of course, there's scope to go into districts beyond this. And even here, some of the districts we're missing, like Shamli, like no work has happened here. So the idea is to reach out to more and more people and hope that they connect with this butterfly community and can contribute in a meaningful way. People from all of these areas. Talking about Delhi's ecology, like I said, it's a unique place to live in. One of the greenest capitals in the world. Our uh, ecology is basically based around the Aravali edge of Aravali hitting the Yamuna floodplains. As you all know, Aravalis are ancient mountain range which starts in Gujarat and goes all the way to the Rashtrapati Bhavan, which is called the Raisina Hill, and that's kind of the last hill of Aravalis. So beyond that is the Yamuna flowing, and this is what Delhi's ecology depends on. This is what the two types of habitats that we have in Delhi. Look, if you look closely at this forest cover map of Delhi, Delhi claims to be about 20% green. Okay, but most of it is concentrated in some areas. The dark green areas are the very green, dense forest, whereas the yellow areas are lesser dense. But I want you to keep this map in mind. We'll be talking about it later. Uh, there is a sort of contiguity in these forests, especially around this area. Yamuna, of course, we know banks are pretty green wherever they are left, and there's a whole southern ridge, southwest ridge, central ridge, the Yamuna Biodiversity Park. So this we have quite a few green areas, which theoretically are contiguous or could be contiguous. So I want you to keep that in mind when later on in the talk we'll be discussing it in a little detail. When we talk about green spaces in Delhi, Delhi has more than 20,000 parks, including small and big. We have over 45 city forests. We have 5 bridge areas. uh, Forest around Delhi is, of course, Asola Bhatti Wildlife Sanctuary, where I work. Then there's Okhla Bird Sanctuary. There's Mangar Bani is a sacred forest in Haryana. Sultanpur National Park is a bird sanctuary in Haryana again. Then there's Bhondsi, Surajpur wetland, and Sariska National Park is also close by. So these are the forest areas around us. And like I've said, we are blessed with a lot of forest inside Delhi, and lots of parks. When we talk about biodiversity of Delhi, it's astounding actually the amount of biodiversity we have in such a polluted city. They say now the most polluted city on earth, but there are over 400 birds recorded here, which is second highest bird count for any capital city in the world. Nairobi, I think, is the first. Uh, Out of these 400 birds, there are 45 birds of prey, and we have 12 recorded owl species. There are 102 butterflies in Delhi, 51 species of dragonflies and damselflies. There's actually going to be 52. Somebody is writing a paper on it. Uh, there are over 28 mammals that are found in Delhi. You will be surprised to know this. There are 8 reptile species. There are 20 amphibian species recorded. Uh, you can see photographs here, and Mohit sir was just mentioning that there are lots of leopards being seen in Asola. Yeah, so we are a city which has a lot of leopards living amongst us, using our green spaces, and generally being out of the harm's way. Here you can also see a picture of a Aravali hill gecko, which is endemic gecko to our area. So that means that it hasn't been recorded anywhere in the world apart from Delhi. So it's also called the Delhi hill gecko. So this just goes to show you that Delhi is really biodiverse, quite green, and uh, I'm hoping to build a foundation, change your understanding about uh, bring a positive outlook to this, in the sense that we hear a lot of negative things about Delhi, that, in my opinion, demotivates people. So I want this just short thing to, tell everybody out there that Delhi has a lot of biodiversity, and it's high time that we start doing something for it. When I talk about doing something for it, of course, why we should watch butterflies. It's really, really important to understand. Uh, in my opinion, butterflies are like the most studied insects in the world, and they become a window to these fantastic insect world, which is largely ignored. And if not ignored, then everybody has a bad connotation to bugs and insects and flies, but they play a very important role, and they've been here way longer than we have on this earth. And just with butterflies, we know having butterflies around us is is a proof of a healthy environment and a healthy ecosystem. Things are going right if you have butterflies around you. Butterflies, the most important role of butterflies in the ecosystem is actually being a food source. Uh, being a food source for a lot of other organisms on this earth. So birds eat them, bats eat them, spiders eat them, reptiles, they have parasites, parasitoids. A whole gamut of organisms depend on these butterflies for their food, from their egg stage to caterpillar to chrysalis to the adult butterfly. Everything is eaten. If 100 eggs are given by a butterfly, two of them make it to the adulthood for a stable population. Apart from this, butterflies have also been model organisms for ecologists to study changes in the habitat, and especially used in global climate change studies. So it's a good subject like that. And even in our country and abroad, the life cycle of a butterfly, the metamorphosis, is used as a tool. I personally feel that it's an excellent tool to drill a scientific bent of mind in a child. They're curious by nature, and if they see this transformation, it really changes something in them. And I think it's an inspirational tool of learning and could be used much more. Apart from that, butterflies are pollinators. They everybody enjoys butterflies around their house. It's a insect nobody minds. And for me, seeing butterflies is actually an excuse to go outside. It's a like I tell everybody, the best thing that you can do for yourself. Of course, not in these Corona times, but even then, finding a open space for you, your balcony, being around plants is the best thing you can do for you yourself. Not just for your physical health, but even for your mental health. There are lots of studies nowadays which tell us that uh, being around nature really helps our mental stress levels, and releases lots of dopamine, lots of things, good things that our body likes. So it's good to be outside. Where do you go around finding these butterflies? Everywhere. Butterflies are everywhere. If you are not using insect killing poison like pesticides, insecticides, and not, pruning or tilling your gardens too much, you will see butterflies. They will be there. They're very territorial. They don't fly away too far off. They stay close to their larval host plants. So most of the places like garden flowers, near water bodies, grazing land where cows are usually grazing on, wildflower meadows, areas which might look to you to be wasteland, but if you look closely, they'll have these wildflowers, and butterflies love to be there. Apart from that, even wet garbage heaps, butcher shops, sunlit areas in wooded forests, and of course near larval host plants. So eventually, to look for butterflies, you have to understand. That's what I think makes it very, very exciting. That looking for butterflies, watching butterflies, is not just like making a list. It's not I count how many butterflies. I actually do that too, but it's not just about counting butterflies. It's actually about understanding the habitat and understanding the relationship the butterfly has with the plants around it. So, gardeners, people who do organic farming, it's a great new avenue for them to understand, and it'll give them much more insight about their habitat or their farm or their terrace, whatever, if they add butterfly watching to their interests. So, moving on to diversity of butterflies, we have about 18,000 species all over the world. In India, there are about 13, 15. And in Delhi, as I've told you, there are 102 species. So, this has been the bane of Delhi. I am just before the lockdown, I came back from Meghalaya, where I was uh, specifically there to see butterflies. And in about 5 days of uh, butterfly watching, we saw 250 species of butterflies. So that's an astounding number again. And because Delhi doesn't have such biodiversity, such number of species, work on butterflies in Delhi has been stagnating. And not many people are interested in researching about butterflies in Delhi, because every researcher worth his name wants to go to Arunachal, wants to go to Northeast to study butterflies, because that's where most exciting, good looking, lots of butterflies. So Delhi has been suffering. So it's high time we guys pick up the mantle, and through citizen science programs, do whatever we can. Uh, when we talk about butterflies in Delhi specifically, there are 5 families of butterflies present in Delhi. Uh, in India, there are 6 families that are found. Okay, so one family we don't have in Delhi. So I'll quickly run over all the families that we have and show you some common butterflies out of these families. So the first family is a cryptic butterfly family, Hesperidae, which is also called skippers. These are usually moths. They look like moths, butterflies with big eyes and sit with their wings folded. The 2 most common ones that you see around your house in Delhi would be the palm bob, where the host plant is a palm, few types of palms. So if you're growing palm in your house, you'll see these butterfly. Just be on a lookout. The other one is the banded owl, and banded owl. Papdi, I think, is the host plant. So that's also quite common in Delhi. So you see them around a lot. Uh, this is the Indian palm bob egg on a palm leaf. See the colors to it. It's really small, 1 mm, smaller than 1 mm. But as you can see, fantastic psychedelic colors to it. The next family that we know is the swallowtails, which is what you think of when I say butterfly. You think of these big, colorful butterflies, and some have tails, some don't have tails. But this is what everybody's picture of a butterfly is whenever you think of one. The most common one that you see around is the common Mormon, which is the host plant for common Mormon is Kari Patta, one of the host plants. And Kari Patta has so many Kari Patta around us. This is quite common. Same goes for lime butterfly, and very obvious that lime as his host plant. And common jay has Ashoka plant as his host plant. So I keep mentioning the host plants too, just to make you understand that these plants are plants on which butterflies would lay their eggs on. So specific butterflies have a specific evolutionary relationship with these plants. So to have more of these butterflies, you need to plant these specific host plants. That's the idea. So the caterpillar that will grow will eat the leaves of this plant. not completely kill it. The next family is the whites and yellows, which, as the name suggests, is uh, mostly white and yellow looking butterflies that you see around your homes, around your gardens. And it's a big family, quite uh, widely distributed all over the country. And some of the common ones are the immigrant butterflies, common grass yellow, and white orange tip that you see around Delhi. Then another family of butterflies is what we call the blues butterfly, Lincinidae, which are these very hard to identify brown looking butterflies. But why we call them blues is because when they open their wings, their upper side is usually some shade of blue, and the underside is marked like you can see. Uh, Very hard to identify, small as a thumbnail, most of them, and takes real practice to identify at a species level. Some of the common ones are forget me not, Indian red flash, and African bubble blue, which is laying its egg. Indian red flash is, of course, very easy to identify because it's not blue inside, it's red. So, always in butterflies and insects as well, everything has an exception. So, you can't really say anything for surety. There will be a insect that defies all the rules of a group, but it's still grouped there. So, uh, you'll see this a lot. The next family is called the brush footed families, and it is so named because butterflies usually have 6 legs, and the brush footed ones have 4 legs, and the first two front legs are modified into brushes. So that's what gives them this name. Again, a big family uh, with a lot of species in it. The common ones are the pansies. This is a yellow pansy. We have the blue pansy, the gray pansy. We have the uh, peacock pansy, lemon pansy. Gray pansy, I think, is quite rare. Uh, and then tawny coster and common castor. And one big family, these butterflies are also very colorful. Some of the common ones like plain tiger, striped tiger that you see around your house also belong to this family. Now let me move on to the work that has happened around butterflies in Delhi and surrounding areas. The most definitive study that has been done on butterflies in Delhi is being done by Dr. Larsen Tobin. He's a he was a Danish entomologist, and he's worked quite extensively on butterflies all over Delhi and even beyond Bangladesh, lots of places in India. So he published his work is from the 1980s, but he published his paper in 2002, and it's the Butterflies of Delhi, an annotated checklist. I can give you all this material after the talk if somebody requires. There's also a book by Peter Samatacek. Peter Samatacek has been working for decades, actually generations, on butterflies, and he is also with Kalpvriksh worked on a book on butterflies of Delhi. Then there's Dr. Surya Prakash from JNU, and he has been instrumental in collating the butterfly list to 101, and his list is the most widely used list of butterflies of Delhi. And of course, I can share that with you after the thing. And he's put in a lot of work around butterflies and other species, also birds, reptiles, mammals in the ridge area. So, been working for quite some time. And then my team has been doing a seasonal study since 2016, collecting data on butterflies found in Asola Bharti Wildlife Sanctuary, actually a very specific area. And that, I think, is the way research should work now, that we do long-term monitoring of specific areas. So we have data to work with. And even if we don't have data to work with, there are collaborative platforms on which this data could be uploaded and could be of use to researchers working in this field. So let me quickly run over a few rare butterfly sightings. like I told you, but Dr. Surya Prakash list was for 101. In 2019, Shantanu saw this common grass dart and wrote a paper on it. And this is the 102nd butterfly that I was talking about, 102 butterflies in Delhi. This is the 102nd butterfly, a new addition to the list. Apart from this, there have been a few sightings which are rare, and most of these sightings are not being done by BNHS or my team or anything like that. These are people working in butterflies as a hobby, as an interest, as a community, and they have been coming out with these marvelous hidden gems. Okay, so Dr. Rajesh Chaudhary and Mr. Devinder Singh both have found this tropical flittery, which is 2 years spaced apart. And the interesting thing about these rare sightings is also the timing, which is quite fascinating with most of them. So they are found mostly around the same time in different years. Some years they're not found. So it's a great question about where do they go, why you have so little of these butterflies, what is going wrong. These are some things that we as a community are trying to figure out. Again, Piro butterfly, the Balkan Piro and the dark cerulean are done by Dr. Rajesh Chaudhary and Vineet Kumar. Then there's a chocolate pansy, which was first seen in 2015 and then again seen in 2017 by the BNHS team in Asola Bhatti. Same goes for common mime, which was seen in 2016 by our team, and in 2020 by Sambhav Jain, and around the same time again. Then common Jezebel was seen in 2017 and 2020 by Devinder Singh and Fermin. Dingy Swift was first identified in 2018 and by the BNHS team during the Delhi Butterfly Month, a program that we run. And since then, it has been seen every butterfly month just because there was clarity on how to identify such a cryptic species. So once we figured that out and identification keys spread in the community, then there were more and more these sightings recorded. Then there's a common guava blue, which was seen only in 2017 by our team, and it hasn't been seen since then. We have a lot of its host plant, which is the guava, but we don't have uh, lots of sightings of this butterfly. And again, the question could be, why is this happening? And I have a story after a few slides about a different butterfly, but it could give us an idea of why we don't see common guava blue that much. Then in the COVID time, 2020, another rare Himalayan butterfly called the Indian oak blue was seen in Delhi, in Paschim Vihar of all places, not like any gardens or not like any forest areas or city forests or these areas. These butterflies are usually being seen in public parks mostly. There was another interesting butterfly called the dark clouded yellow, which was first recorded by Lakhan in 2018, March 2018. And you won't believe it that this year it was seen in lots of locations exactly to the day of Lakhan sighting in 2018. So like the exact date, after 3 years, this butterfly was seen in 4-5 locations across Delhi. So interesting questions that are coming up. Again, common short silver line, which was recorded in March 2021 by Dr. Rajesh Chaudhary. This has been recorded quite a few times before too, but most people maybe were misidentifying it as the common silver line. So not many clear records were there. So this eventually was seen by a lot of people. Lots of people went there to photograph these butterflies. So an established record nonetheless. Then there is this butterfly which is commonly seen around Delhi everywhere, called the red piro. It has this host plant as Kalincho or Patthar Chatta. And in 2018, a butterfly enthusiast from not from Delhi came to our park and noticed these different looking butterflies. The orange that you see on the black areas of the wing, the upper side, is not supposed to be there. And this orange pattern, we started finding a lot of these butterflies in our park and began a citizen science study to figure out why it is happening. The answers are not very clear, but at one point of time, more than 50% of the butterflies had these variations in our butterfly park. And slowly through the community, we started finding these butterflies in places as far as Jammu and Chhattisgarh. And this is an interesting thing that has come up. There's lots of speculation on why it's happening, but no definitive proof of why this variation is there. Sadly, or not so sadly, uh, this year and the last year, we saw none of these variations, or very little, one or two individuals of these variations. So, coming to the common baron, why I have put in here is it's not a very rare species, but you don't see them around Delhi so much. The host plant is your mango tree, and the reason is plainly our use of poisons in our garden. So this is a mango tree right in front of my house, and it has been there for ages, and I haven't seen a baron on it ever. But last year, because of COVID, most people couldn't get out and spray this tree. So even without me going out too many times in the COVID lockdown situation, I saw this butterfly twice, which has been missing for years. So it got me thinking that maybe every year people get out and spray their mango trees because they want great mangoes. And in that spraying, a lot of these barons go away. So maybe the same thing is happening to the guava blue also. And because it's from the blues family, not so uh, big and attractive, it is overlooked. So these are a few questions that I want to introduce you to, so that you understand that butterfly watching is not just butterfly watching, it's watching the environment, it's looking at the plants, looking at what people are doing to the plants, looking at what you can do to improve the habitat around you. So it's a quite a nature immersive exercise, and I hope this kind of piques your interest into it. Uh, to to make this community about butterflies and to start off this monitoring regime in Delhi and NCR, we in 2017 started a program called the Delhi Butterfly Month, which happens every September. And for a month, we do programs with schools, colleges, general public. These are uh, these used to be face to face. We have given hands-on training on butterflies to about 11,000 participants. We now cover around 50 locations in Delhi where a systematic count is taken. Uh, we have done 78 schools, 52 colleges, 9 NGOs. We make booklets on butterflies of Delhi and distribute them for free to schools and colleges and general public. We create a massive media buzz, or try and create a massive media buzz, where we want everybody to be start as in everybody start talking about butterflies and try and focus on butterflies for 1 month. And with this program, we also have a Facebook group called Butterflies of Delhi NCR, iNaturalist project called the same thing. Then there are forums like Butterflies of India, where people who are not researchers are going, having a great time, being outdoors, looking at butterflies, photographing them, and putting it on these portals for researchers to use that data. So this is a great thing that has come out of the Delhi Butterfly Month. These are some of the publications for Delhi Butterfly Month. Every year we make a new one and distribute it. In 2020, we couldn't do uh, our usual face-to-face interactions for the Butterfly Month. So we decided to go pan-India and make it a big Butterfly Month where more than 50 organizations from all over the country, more than 26 states, 3 union territories, 400 districts in India participated in a month-long program again, where people did counts, webinars, a whole sundry of events, competitions, not just us, but all of these organizations from different parts of India got together, put in a lot of effort uh, in trying situations. There was a lockdown, people were worried about Corona, but a lot of people got together to make this possible. And we are going to do it, of course, for the second year also. Then this is some of the media coverage. The way I look at the future of Butterfly Month is, again, is like I said, it should be pan India. We should get as many people involved in it. The focus should be on backyard butterflying. Like I said, we need long-term data from specific sites, which works better for research than sporadic data. So we need data from every September from every year, or we need data of every day of a year. We need such long-term monitoring. To This sort of monitoring is a very new thing in India, especially on insects. So we have an opportunity to really help the conservation and research community. Apart from this, we are also trying to make platforms for collaborative habitat development. That means we want to make as many butterfly habitats as we can. And of course, encourage studies on urban ecology, migration of butterflies, host plant relationship. So one more good thing that has come out of this butterfly month in Delhi is that over time, people started asking us what they can do and how they can contribute. And the simplest way is to use any area you have, be it your balcony, your terrace, your backyard, your RWA park, your district park, your school park, any space that you have, and try and introduce native host plants there to help the population of butterflies around you. And if we do it in a systematic manner, like you can see, a butterfly corridor could emerge, which, like I said earlier in the forest cover map, there is a sort of contiguity in the forest in Delhi. If we create such distributive habitats, uh, it can help butterflies that are restricted to Asola Bhati Wildlife Sanctuary to theoretically reach Yamuna Biodiversity Park. And because there's going to be this highway with lots of host plants placed in strategic locations. So this is what has come out of it. The red dots that you see are the schools and resorts that have made butterfly parks in Delhi, and the green ones are home gardens. People who have come to us and asked us how they can help and if they can make a butterfly garden in their terrace. That is also counts as a habitat. So even small steps like that go a long way. This is just a screenshot of the butterfly corridor as it exists right now. We need a lot many more added to this list. Uh, you can see right now there are about 45, and there's different categories. There's home gardens, there's parks and RWA, parks and just general district parks, and then there's schools, colleges, which has some resorts also. So this is the list that has developed. Uh, the we stress on not us making these habitats, but the community making this habitat, and it is for the community to take care of it. And these community leaders then eventually also help us collect data, maintain the park, and in fact, the park is not has nothing to do with us or BNHS. It's mostly their park, and they take care of it like that, and they become guardians of it. So Shanti Niketan, Mandakini Enclave, these are great stories, success stories. They're featured in newspapers and magazines, documentaries where people want to know what they have done and how they've achieved this. And it's really encouraging how such groups can come forward and really help butterfly conservation. Their schools, colleges. We even got political bigwigs involved in butterfly gardening. It's just an attempt. Let's see how far it goes. Uh, I just want to mention a few people who have been working really hard for butterflies in Delhi, and they have achieved quite a few things in a very short span of time. Dr. Surya Prakash, I've already mentioned, has been working for decades on butterflies in Delhi. Then Shantanu has been recording some of the very new ones, new butterflies and new butterfly species in Delhi. Then there's Anita Yadav, ma'am. She is one of the teachers we have collaborated with to make a butterfly park, and uh, I'm so proud to tell all of you that she has included this butterfly park in her uh, offline and online curriculum. And for this, she was also awarded the Best Teacher Award in Delhi for this year, a few months back or few weeks back, let me say. Then there's Sambhav Jain, who's been a great volunteer uh, and has been studying life cycles of butterflies in Delhi for in quite detail and keeping quite good records. Then there's Ayush, who's I think in the 12th standard now and has already written a book on butterflies of Delhi, I think, with their life cycle or life cycle of butterflies. So these are some, of course, my team has been working very hard on butterflies too. So these are some of the people who have our community leaders are taking different aspects of the project and spearheading them in their own time. Where it all began for me with butterflies was at Asola Butterfly Park, and this project was first introduced to me in 2014. And at this moment, this is the largest butterfly park in North India, and it's about 8 acres. We started out with 4 acres and then expanded it. We have planted about 95 native plant varieties here. The number of plants that have gone in are 7,500. We have recorded over 85 butterfly species. And this park uh, started being made in 2015, and 2017 is when it was inaugurated. For this park, me and my team have gone to Chandigarh, Calcutta, Bangalore, Rao Jodha Park, restoration projects, nurseries, AFRI, the Forest Research Institute, to understand our ecology, understand butterfly habitats. And that was our first step into butterflies. And eventually, with public participation, we have started the plantation, and over years changed how the area looks. So these are some of the before after photographs from 2017 and 2021. uh, Very easy to do. We don't do any poisons, we don't do harsh pruning, we don't uh, cut until too much, and let things grow as wild as they can. And that's the best thing to do for a butterfly habitat. Few more pictures. Apart from Asola Butterfly Park, other butterfly habitats in Delhi where you can easily spot butterflies are Sundar Nursery, Lodi Garden, Aravali Biodiversity Park, Vasant Kunj, Yamuna Biodiversity Park, in Wazirabad. Then Sanjay One, Aravali Biodiversity Park, Gurgaon, Deer Park, and Okla Bird Sanctuary. All of these areas are fantastic areas to uh, see butterflies, their native plants, understand that association. But uh, there are people in Delhi who have made terrace gardens and recorded over 30 butterflies in their terrace gardens. So you don't need a big space, you don't need a big forest. Butterflies will come to your house, and you just have to love gardening, love butterflies, love being outside, and it all fits in together and to make a great journey. For this presentation, I've borrowed some pictures from my teammates. So I would like to thank Shantanu, Lakhan, and Geeta for their photographs to make this a good looking PPT. And I would like to end with this one question to everybody. Do you want to create habitats for butterflies? And if you do, my number, email is right there. You can get in touch with me. I and my team can guide you through the process, and hopefully, uh, like I said, it should be a great journey for all of you guys going ahead. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for your patience, for listening to me for 1 hour, and I am looking forward to the questions you might have.
What a brilliant presentation,
Thank you, sir.
Suhail bhai. It was excellent.
I
And
hope I
it
didn't
was
bore
a
anybody
real
too
eye
much.
opener. No, it was a real eye opener. I think everybody was enthralled because a lot of people don't know so much about butterflies and their importance and everything. So friends, go ahead and ask your questions to Suhail bhai so that he can
Mohit
answer
sir,
questions to you.
the import of my presentation, eventually, what I would want to leave everybody with is that it's very easy to understand butterflies. It's very easy to do something about them, and everybody can do it. If we don't have, nobody has an excuse. Everybody can have 4 plants in their garden. That's not
Uh,
too much to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if we just do it more sensibly, we can attract a lot of butterflies and we can
Yes,
help them
yes, yes,
grow in numbers. And
yes.
so Radhika is saying, yeah, it was wonderful. You could mobilize so many. And Deepak is asking, like we have eBird for documenting birds, what platform is most common for butterflies? Is it iNaturalist?
So iNaturalist is a good platform. It is not Indian, but very easily understood and very accessible. The only problem with iNaturalist is that sometimes the identification might not be correct because it's based on a consensus of a lot of people. There's also Indian website, a few Indian websites. One is called Butterflies of India, where the your records are peer reviewed in the sense that experts are sitting and identifying them. So the process is a little slower than iNaturalist, but a little surer. So you can use that also to submit your records, as well as India Biodiversity Portal. And it's
Great.
great.
And
It's a great question for every. As in, it's a great. Thank you for asking that question. Everybody should be using these data platforms and trying to put their data here.
fantastic. Mukul is asking, BNH is starting a crash course on introduction to butterflies and butterfly gardening. Is that,
Yes, yes. The courses are going to be run out of Mumbai. We are, in fact, starting 6 of such courses. Now that lockdown is here, people have time on their hand, and it's a great opportunity to learn. I would really recommend these courses because not because I'm from BNHS, but I know a lot of people who have done these courses and gone on to become great conservationists. In fact, write books and help with research projects. So it's a great place to start if anybody is sitting on the sidelines and worrying about the fact that, oh, I don't know anything, how do I begin? One of these courses is a good place to start. So it will make you a great network, It'll put you in touch with the right kind of people, and these people you will form lifelong relationships with, and any question you have, they will be there to answer that.
Fantastic. Dr. Vinod Kumari mentioned that she wants to establish the same in Rajasthan.
Same as in a butterfly
Dr.
habitat?
Yeah, I guess so. So I think it'll be a good idea to get in touch with Sohail sir.
Sure. Please do get in touch with me. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. And yeah, so she said that how to find. So that's a contact. The second thing that I have one question for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
How do I get a lot of these tourism people, tourism fraternity is engaged with resorts and camps and nature watch and wildlife. Now today the new mantra that suddenly evolved in tourism in a very big way is sustainability. It was always there, but now it's taken a different shape altogether. It's starting to mature, and I think we should seriously do a very deep penetration into this entire industry, because it'll be very easy to penetrate through this industry, and they'll be receptive. So you and I need to figure this out.
Yes, Mohit sir, we have been working with a few resorts.
Yeah.
And few of these places, say in Uttarakhand or in Chambal. So few in the industry, in the tourism industry, see the value. So of course, like you were saying, we need to mobilize them. And the biggest hurdle that I see, that butterfly parks and habitats take like a slow time to develop. And in that time can be used to develop capacity for people coming to that park. But usually what happens with resorts is they want results too soon. But if a certain kind of background is provided, I've had good experiences with resorts taking it over.
Right. So I am, I'm co-chairing the Ecotourism Committee of Adventure Tour Operator Association. Mm-hmm. So I could steer that for your project to
that'll be wonderful.
Make a huge intervention into that fraternity. So that's one thing that I will take upon myself to do this, and that will be lovely.
Awesome.
And Deepak Badwad is saying, do others notice a drop in the numbers of the lime butterfly?
Namaste, Deepak sir. Sir, I personally haven't noticed a drop in the lime butterfly, but you could be correct. Older orchards would be using pesticides. So depends on the use of insecticides and pesticides mostly. So areas where they're not being used, the butterflies haven't been affected as much. So lime butterfly is quite common in Delhi, but a specific drop in numbers is something I haven't noticed.
So that's fantastic. I think people are done with their questions. I'm so thankful to not only the visitors and you as well and your team to put this together. I think it's required that we should go online every now and then to address a larger audience and to let them know how to make use of this lockdown to educate themselves to help butterflies.
Yes, so, it keeps your mind off the news, of course.
Yes, ridiculous news all the time. So friends, thank you for being here. I also want to let you know that within this week we have 2 more webinars scheduled. One is for vulture conservation in Europe. So that's tomorrow by Hans Coleman. And then day after tomorrow is another one by Begroy Chaudhary, who's going to talk about her magazine that is dedicated for wildlife and wildlife conservation. So do join in. I'm just putting another link here in case if you want to register for our forthcoming webinars. I'm committed to bringing more of these webinars to you related to natural history and ecotourism, to not just for education but also for action. So if anybody is interested in more action-oriented things, do get in touch with me or get in touch with Sohail Saab for this particular webinar,
Sure.
so that something should come out from each webinar that we do. Some movement should happen, and some impact should be built. So thank you for being here and putting all your effort to be here and spending this wonderful time with Sohail Saab.
Thank you, Mohit sir. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.